Okay. All right. So we're off. First of all, anybody have any questions or concerns or anything? I want to talk just a minute about the projects for the class, okay? Don't get freaked out about these. I'm going to start the class today by just showing some other things that people have done, you know, using the network as a concept or an idea. And anything is fair game. You don't have to engage any of the technology that we've talked to. If you come up with a really interesting way of doing, you know, some kind of weird trading back and forth of sounds or something like that with a good friend of yours, that's perfectly fine. You know, if you just want to even do some research into different kinds of things that have been done, that's perfectly fine too. You know, if you want to go outside and just record some stuff and stream it on the web, that's perfectly fine. So basically, you know, this class exists to kind of just get stuff out there, because like I said earlier in the term, I fully expect that really you're not going to do a whole lot of work until the class is over, because you have to learn all this stuff in order for it to be used. So, you know, for those of you who are auditing, you can do some projects. The last day of class, we're kind of go through them all and kind of have fun seeing what people were up to, but you don't have to. You know, I don't think, well, because you're auditing. I mean, what am I going to do? Not give you a bad grade or no. So, yeah, we'll just kind of see how that goes. If you've got questions about it, you know, again, feel free to write me or Owner. Owner's been down this path with me many times, so he knows that it's a rather, like I said, this is a graduate course. You know, this is something you take because you'd like to learn about it. You'd like to, you know, figure out what's going on. So don't get too concerned about that, okay? So speaking of that, oh yeah, finally, any concerns or questions? Any comments? You all holding up okay? I mean, things are pretty weird right now in the world. Weird and hopefully a good way though, but we'll see. Okay, what I want to do before I get into what we're going to try and do tonight, which is to set up an internet broadcast node, is just to kind of play some examples. These are some people that I know, and I said, hey, I'll just play some of your stuff in my class for fun. Let me share some audio with you guys. Okay, hang on a minute. All right. And the first thing, it's funny because I just kind of mentioned this. The first thing that I want to play for you is in fact a very simple, but you know, it's been kind of popular. I've seen a lot of people sort of doing it. Use of the web. This is by a friend. It was a friend of my son's. They were housemates together when he was over in Finland on the Fulbright, and this guy AJ Stillebauer was a composer. He was there on a Fulbright. He was doing some work at the Sibelius Academy and everything like that. And he did this. We were talking, and he said, "Oh yeah, I did some weird network stuff, you know, with the Zoom, with the COVID stuff happening." And I'll just play you a little bit of what he did, and I want to tell you about it. Okay, so here's what it sounds like. Okay.
Is it playing right now? I don't hear anything.
You don't hear anything?
No, I thought you were still working on getting it up.
Can you hear it now? Can you guys hear it?
I hear your voice, but I don't hear any music.
I see where it says that you're sharing your computer sound, but
Okay.
I don't hear anything.
Did anybody else hear it? Nobody was hearing anything.
Nope.
Oh, what an idiot. I have my thing going to the wrong output. Hang on a second. Well, thank you for speaking up. Yeah, it was a very minimal piece, wasn't it? Okay, hang on a second. Let me rearrange this here.
I wasn't going to comment until after 4 minutes and 31 seconds.
That's you, Doug. Yes, we know. Okay. Yeah, Zoom audio device. That's where we want this sound to go. Okay, let's try this again, okay? Are you hearing that? Good. All right. Okay, let me play another part of it too. Okay, here's another part. Okay, this is a really stupid and simple thing that he did. You guys are familiar with that thing from Mozart's time called the exquisite corpse, right? Okay. Basically, yeah. They kind of passed around a fragment of music, and then they would add to it, and they'd create the piece by going from composer to composer. Well, this is kind of a network, digitally technology version of that, where Anthony and some of his friends passed around this piece of music. But the idea was not just to simply add to the end of it, but they could overlay it, they could warp it in different ways. Actually, Doug Scott, when he made a program called MixFuse back in 1989 here at Columbia. And to test it out, we actually just had a sound file that people could come in and add or configure or change. I have a copy of it somewhere. I think it's on a DAT tape though. So, Doug, do you still have a copy of that program by any chance?
MixFuse is
not
MixFuse.
MixFuse. The piece.
Yeah, to tell you the truth, I don't even remember doing the project.
Oh,
So,
yeah. It was pretty fun. We played it on a concert, one of our living room concerts. But anyhow,
yeah.
I mean, there's a case. I mean, that wasn't a network thing because people had to come and work on the Sun workstation. But this is so simple. You can just take a piece of music, send it to a friend, say, do something with it, send it back. Then you do something, circle it around. In fact, that's sort of what Ross Whiteman was doing in some of his pieces when he was doing it in real time. They're basically passing the sound around as part of the improvisation process. So, that's kind of fun. All right. And I'm going to stop this and I'm going to share my screen now with computer sound. And I'll show you a few other things. Yeah, and again, the point being with this is that I want to show you that there's many possibilities, and you don't have to just make some weird algorithmic composition thing. If you want to, that's cool. Okay, so this is a friend of mine from New Jersey named Carl Fury. He's a guitarist. Okay, and this is sort of one example of things. I'm going to go through three of them here. I won't play much of them. Okay. You can hear that, right? Okay, so that's really straightforward. That's just we talked about this as, kind of the typical use of the internet. He's just streaming directly. However, he's got some cool graphics mixed in. And that was done using some programs that I'm going to show you later on today that allow you to kind of mix different media streams. And then he's working with a friend of his in Lawrenceville who runs this thing called, somebody. Yeah, he's actually Nick's Virtual Garage. Yeah, we'll see a bit more of that in a little bit. And they're streaming it. They're using as their server, their streaming server, this Twitch TV. What I'm going to show you tonight is how you can set up your own. Okay, so here's another one, and this is interesting because this also has a connection enabled by some software between him and another guy, Tom Bruce, who is in upstate New York. So they basically improvise this together. So kind of cool stuff. What's interesting is to kind of get around the fact that you can't really sync. Only one of them was generating any kind of beat-oriented thing there, and the other stuff was overlaid on top of it. So you can actually bend your music to take advantage of the fact that you can't really play in time. However, next week when Miller Puckett and Damon and Holzborn are here, apparently you can play close to being real time with the software that Miller's going to show. So that'll be kind of intriguing. Then here's the last one of the Carls. This is actually 3 people, and they're all kind of interconnected and also processing each other, I think, in this one. And that's the thing that I think is kind of cool. You know, when you get to the point where you can actually take sound from somebody else that's in your group, process it, and throw that back into the mix, that's when it starts becoming kind of really interesting. But here we go. Yeah, I probably didn't choose a very good section of that. It's like an hour long, hour and a half long. I didn't listen to the whole thing. Yeah, you know, some pretty cool stuff going on. Interesting. Now, let me go back to here. I'm probably going to start sharing my screen again pretty soon. What I want to do is now kind of shift into what I want to kind of try tonight, and that's, you know, setting up a streaming server. All right. And I also want to explain, remember last time we were doing the UDP send and receive objects, and we could do it on the local network from one computer to the other. The idea was to try to enable some kind of remote control. I want to explain why that didn't work when Owner was trying to do it. We didn't even attempt it because he and I set it up ahead of time. Because part of that is I want to explain how the machines are kind of configured and talk to each other. And again, some of this may be very basic for some of you. I hope it's not too terribly bad. I'm going to start sharing my screen again. And yeah, so Owner, keep an eye if people got questions, just yell them out, because I can only see like 4 people when I do this, okay? So let me share my screen here. Okay. And let me get rid of this guy. Actually, not that guy. This guy. What did I get rid of? Zoom. Okay, let me, oh shoot, I didn't want to do that. Well, what the heck. All right, let me bring this up, and I'm going to sketch a few things out here, okay? Let me see, I think this will probably be fine. Okie doke. Let me show you what we were doing last time and where the problems came in. And then I'm going to show you what we're going to try and do tonight, because that sort of integrates in a weird way with it, okay? So basically, we had a computer, okay? Okay, and let me, oh my, okay. Okay, so I'll say, okay, computer. Okay, and somehow this is red font, but I'm just going to leave it red because I don't want to take the time to change it, okay? Flatten, flatten. Okay. Now, we were able to get that to talk to, and maybe I'll make this a different color. Oh man, I can get too carried away with this, okay? We're going to have this talk to another computer, okay? Another computer. Isn't that great that I can flatten? Okay, and basically, you know, using UDP send and receive, we could, you know, send from one to the other and theoretically from the other to the other, okay? Now, that was all on a single local area network, okay? Shoot. Boy, I'm really good at this, aren't I? I'm about as good as I am at Max programming. Okay, so that was a single local area network. And generally, if you see network addresses that look like 192.168 point something, that's going to be on a local area network, okay? Here's the problem, okay? We wanted to be able to get this relationship. We wanted to be able to run a sound process on this computer and have a computer, okay? We'll have a third computer up here. Okay, and I'm not gonna write in third computer. Oh, yes, I am. Third okay? Okay, we wanted to have it come into this local area network, okay? Now the problem is that the router that I have that set up this local area network presents a different address to the outside world, okay? Because it does this thing that we talked about called network address translation, okay? Now, you can get around that by doing what's called port forwarding, okay? And I don't think I want to take you through going into my router and showing you how to do that, because there's a good chance I would mess it up, and that would be the end of the class tonight. But basically, you can say, I want port number 8000 on this computer to appear to that outside network. What I didn't realize, and this is not uncommon, is that there was a third, or second router between my router and the outside world. This second router is the one that the internet service provider gave to me, okay? So it's also doing network address translation, okay? And the giveaway was that when I looked at what my local area network thought was its outside world IP address, it was one of these 192.168 numbers, okay? All the computers inside this were 192.168.1 point something. Its external address that was not going to the outside world, but I thought was 192.168.2, because this router was then translating that address to the outside world. And that did not have the port map set up, all right? I found out that if I want to set up a port map on that router, I have to call my internet service provider. And that was just too far. I didn't want to deal with that, okay? Now, how does this impact what we're going to do tonight? Well, tonight we're going to actually set up another computer, okay? Yet another computer, okay? And this computer is going to exist out in the real world somewhere. It's going to have a fixed IP address, okay? Fixed. All right, that's important because this is the thing that we're going to be able to give to everybody else, and they're going to be able to, like, connect to and things like that. Now, all this stuff that was important for trying to get this third computer to communicate into these computers was a problem when it was coming in. That's what it did not allow. We'll get rid of it. This computer can go out without any problem because it then just translates the packets, translates it, sends it out to the real world, okay? And that's what's going to be important for us in kind of figuring out how this is all going to be configured. What we're going to do is we're going to take this computer here and we're going to run a sound process on it. Then we're going to send it out to this computer here, and this computer here we're going to set up as a streaming audio server. All right, and these guys basically you configure them with software, and all the software does is sit there and listen for connections from somewhere else that will be sending them audio. When it sees that connection happens, it takes that audio and says, cool, and then it sets up a special internet address port that many people can connect to, and then they can hear what's coming out of this. So basically, I can set up a process here that's running, run it on this one, and then billions of people can hear it and talk about how wonderful I am. I thought I heard something. Has somebody got a question or anything? No, okay, yeah. Okay, so here's the thing. This process, I'm gonna run it tonight as a very simple MaxMSP patch running an RTCMix script. You can actually, and it makes more sense, take that sound producing process and also put it on that streaming audio server and have the connection be made pretty much internally so that the sound producing process here can communicate with the streaming audio server on the same machine and go to the outside world. Why is that cool? Because then you can have this control this, or you can have any number of things happen, okay? So you don't necessarily have to do it on your, the other thing that you can do is you can set this machine up to do it all the time. So you don't have to sit there with your local machine, your laptop or your desktop or whatever it is, running something that's then connected to that. You could actually set up a process. And that's why I've been emphasizing using RTCMix scripts, because you can run RTCMix on a remote machine. You cannot run MaxMSP easily on a remote machine, because MaxMSP, you have to have the graphical interface in front of you. I argued for years with David Ziccarelli about make it a headless MaxMSP, and he said, no, that's not what we do. And ultimately, they went to work for Ableton, and yeah, that's not what they do. PD, you can run headless, but it's a little tricky. So you could create a PD patch, and if you did it properly, you can run it with a thing called live PD. But it's not as simple as just taking a script that you've developed here and simply running it as a standalone process here. So that's kind of where I've been going with a lot of this stuff, because ultimately it'd be fun to do this. Now, here's the downside. This computer out here, it costs money, okay? You can actually set, if you want to go through all the trouble of calling your internet service provider up and everything, you could actually set up your streaming audio server on this. You have to then ask for a fixed IP address so that you don't have, dynamic IP assignment, which is what most local area network and wireless routers do. So you basically would have to rent, I think I'm using a company called Linode, and I believe they're using Amazon Web Services. Now, I was thrilled because I heard that Columbia provided Amazon Web Services for students. But it turns out they do, but it's part of a deal and you still have to pay for it, okay? Now, it's not a lot. It's like $5 a month or something like that. This is what Lara had set up for her Lara world. She went to another provider called DigitalOcean that set her up. Basically, they give you it's a virtual computer. It just exists in the cloud, and it's running some flavor of Linux or something like that. So you have to kind of know a little bit about how to set things up. But again, Owner and I could help you with that if you want to do this. However, here's the offer I can make for you guys. If this does in fact work tonight, it's worked for me before, so it should work tonight, and you want to fool around with setting up some kind of weird streaming thing, I can actually configure this to handle multiple streams so that I could basically assign you a port and a login address so that you could actually connect with your computer somewhere else. So, well, whatever, okay. You could actually connect with that computer and then stream directly to that. You'd log in onto my server and the audio would go out into the world. So just kind of keep that in the back of your mind if you want to try and fool around with some of the stuff, because we could configure it like that, all right? Okay, so, yeah, let me show you kind of an overview of the different packages that are out there. And then I'll show you, I'm not going to go through the process of actually downloading. It's actually pretty simple, but I'll kind of maybe just show you what I did. And then we'll actually try setting it up as a streaming server. And I'm going to use my other computer down here to try to connect to it. And we'll see if we can hear some sound from it, okay? So here's what you've got, okay? Oh, shoot. Zoom is just so annoying. They put their Zoom windows all over and then you can't move them and then you can't get to your windows. Yikes. Okay, so this guy is kind of the grandfather of streaming broadcast servers. It's called Shoutcast, okay? And it has two disadvantages. Notice it says free trial. That means that you do have to pay for it eventually. I didn't investigate how much to pay for it, because there's another problem with this, is that Shoutcast, and the next one we're going to look at, even though it's a little bit better, has notoriously insane latency. I mean, typically, if you make a change in your audio stream, you're not going to hear it for maybe 30 seconds to a minute after it goes out to the server. I don't know why that is. I couldn't find any good explanations for it. But it's because most people that are broadcasting don't care about interactivity. If you want to do something interactive, pushing a button and then waiting 30 seconds for something to happen is not optimum. So anyhow, okay, so Shoutcast, I'm going to put links to all these things. It is the granddaddy. It is probably the most robust, however. If you want to get serious about this is you can monetize what you do, okay? You become a partner. The next thing that came after Shoutcast, as a response mainly to them starting to charge money, is this thing called IceCast, okay? Notice it says right there, is a free server software for streaming multimedia. And the thing that you want to use is this IceCast 2, okay? Again, the problem there is that it does have some problems with latency. This is probably the one that most people are using right now. I believe it's a little bit trickier to kind of configure than what I'm going to show you later on, okay? But it's also, it works very well. You know, it's like I said, a lot of people are using it. There's this other thing, I just kind of threw this in here. This isn't really a streaming audio server. This is probably more like what Miller and Damon are going to talk about next week. This is, I think it's more of a peer-to-peer type of thing. So you can actually set up connections from one web browser to another, or from one application to another, okay? It doesn't, I don't believe this actually streams in the way that an internet radio or broadcast node would. But I'm going to keep the link there. It might be worth looking into. I have not looked into it myself. Yeah, regular JavaScript APIs. So basically you can configure it with JavaScript to kind of set these like very sort of private almost networks where you're connecting with another person who can be like, this is the sort of thing that probably Carl and Tom Bruce are using to do their kind of improvisation back and forth, okay? The thing I'm going to show you is the Rocket streaming audio server, okay? It's the next generation thing, and they actually say here, low latency, as low as 4 seconds. Now, I'll be honest, we'll try some tests tonight if we can get it running. I discovered the latency wasn't very low. However, there's a lot of configuration that you can do, and I have not done that. I mean, there's many, many options that you can set on this. And, you know, there's probably ways that we can kind of, competing streaming audio service can add 30 seconds or more of delay to your stream. Oh, your listeners will lag behind. That'll be terrible. Okay, so this looked pretty easy to configure, and it turned out that it was. And you can actually run this, it's set up to run on Linux, which is what most of these kind of virtual machines are going to be, but you can also even run it on Windows. No support for Macintoshes. You can't run it natively on a Macintosh. However, you can use a Macintosh to connect to it, okay? And we'll talk about the ins and outs of that later, okay? But let me show you then how I did it and what I did, and we'll try and get it set and running, okay? So basically, if you go here, is this it? No. No. Okay, I'm going to go to the documentation here, okay? And basically, the installation, all I did was do that. Actually, I'm responsible for that one because I discovered an error. It said libog, and it did not work. And I found out it was libog 0. And I wrote to them, and they actually fixed it. So I think they're good people, all right? So basically, this is all you do. Then you have to make sure that there's certain things that are writable. Then you create this configuration file, which I'm going to show you. Then you run it, and it started working. I was pretty amazed, okay? Let me show you on that machine, okay? All right, now, make my font a little bit bigger here, okay? So what I'm going to do is log into my remote machine, okay? I have a little thing called Roar that does that, okay? Okay, so now I am here on CMC sites. That machine is in fact, hold on, you guys can't see it, but yeah. That machine is sites.music.columbia.edu, okay? And I'm in Brad, which is basically my directory, okay? So let me hide this, bring this back out. There we go. Okay, so here I am in /home/Brad, okay? What I did was I downloaded the software, you know, did the commands for setting it up with Linux, okay? And I put, that stuff was in here, okay? So basically this was the package that did it. Now, when it set itself up, with the appropriate things, it created a command called RSAS, okay? And that exists in this kind of directory. That's where a lot of Unix things are going. So I can actually start it by saying RSAS, okay? However, see, it doesn't, it needs a configuration file, okay? Well, that configuration file lives in a directory called /etc/RSAS, okay? Again, I'm typing Unix commands here. There's not that many that you're going to have to know to do this, and it's not that difficult, okay? But there you'll see there's a file called rsas.xml. Oops. This was what all I had to do. Now, it's configured to basically be a drop-in replacement for that IceCast software that I told you about. So you'll see this, and it actually writes to an IceCast log, okay? But this is the stuff you have to tell it. The port that it's going to listen for connections on, okay? Then you're going to give a name to that port, and you're going to see how that works in a second, okay? Then you're going to give a username and a password, okay? And this is the thing where I can actually set up multiple mounts with separate username and passwords for each one of you guys if you want to try this out, okay? At least that's what I'm led to believe, okay? So what you do then to run this is you say RSAS -c/etc/RSAS/RSAS.xml. And when I type this, boom, whoa, look, it's actually running, okay? So I'm going to now switch to my other computer, and we're going to try and stream to it, okay? Here we go. Go over here. Oh, I'll have to stop my screen share here. Hi, everybody. And go over to this machine, turn my video. Hi, everybody. Look, there's two Brads. Isn't that fun? So this is my Windows machine, okay? There's my Macintosh machine, all right? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start up some software here that I downloaded. Oh, shoot. I'll show you where I downloaded it from before. But basically, you have to have some software now that will enable you to take the sound from your producing machine, which is my Windows machine here, and broadcast it to the streaming audio server that will then go out to the rest of the world, okay? So let me go over here. In fact, that software is called Rocket Broadcaster. I decided just to use their software. Since I'm using their server, I figure it would be the easiest thing to do. Turns out it is ridiculously easy, okay? So here it comes. Oh, I'm not sharing my screen. Hold on a second, guys. Sorry about that. Share screen. I'm not going to share my computer audio with this because I don't want you to hear this computer's audio. I want you to hear it coming from the thing. Okay. So you guys can see that screen now, right? Okay, so here's my Windows machine. Okay, so I'm going to start up the Rocket Broadcaster. Okay. And I have already set up this thing called Bradness, okay? Let me edit it and show you what I had to do. First of all, I gave the stream a name, okay? Because this software will keep track of multiple streams, okay? Server type is IceCast 2. Like I said, it was made for a drop-in plugin for the thing, okay? Then I gave it the name of the machine, sites.music.com, and it's listening on port 8000. And then that mount point is /example. Then I gave it the username and the password. And remember, that was in that configuration file. The username was Brad Test. The password was go, 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 okay? So I say, okay, or cancel in this case, all right? And I'm going to start my broadcast, okay? And tell you what, let me, shoot. Yeah, I'm gonna start it. And I'm gonna take this camera off. Let me see here. Hold on a minute. Okay. Now, right. So look, if you look over here, you'll see it says source connected. So I have successfully connected this machine with that machine, okay? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and start up a max patch. Oh yeah, I didn't even make one, okay. Hold on a second, okay. Here we go, doga, 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 doga. Okay, and I'm gonna, come on Max, there we go. There we go. Okay, let me do this. Okay, I'm going to start up an RT-CMix tilde, and all I'm going to do is basically open up the help patch, and I'm going to go to my plucky thing because it just makes sound over and over and over again. Okay, so now let me start this. Okay, and let me see if I'm getting any sound. Okay, let me go to this Rocket Broadcaster. Aha. Okay, and I believe I also have to turn up the audio on my computer. Yeah, there we go. Okay. That seemed kind of quiet, but I'm hoping that it's working. Now, I'm going to now leave this screen share and go back to my other computer. Okay? And now let me share this screen with computer sound. And now, if I go to sites.music.columbia.edu, and let me see, what's the address for it? Hold on a minute. That's not it. Hold on, guys. I forgot where I put this address. I think I know what it is, but yeah, that's it. Now, with any luck, if I put this into my web here, yes. Now, I'll turn mine off. Any of you should be able to fire up your browser and go to that address, and you should hear this music. Give it a try and see, okay? I'm going to stop my share.
Can you put the link in chat?
Ah, good idea. Any success? You guys are hearing this? Oh my God! That makes me so happy because really I had no idea if this class would work or not, okay? All right.
Well done, Brad.
Now, here's what I'm going to do to show you something, okay? Let me go here. You can't see what I'm doing, but I'll tell you what I'm doing. Okay, hang on a second. Okay. All right. I'm going to tell you when I stop the sound, okay? And we'll see how long it takes, okay? I'm not listening to it, so I don't know, okay? So, all right, I stopped it right now. Let me know when the music stops for you guys.
Now. Like 10 seconds.
Okay, so there's your latency. It's so much better than the other ones. Okay, just for fun, I'm going to start it back up again. Okay, ready? So start now. Okay. Yeah. So it's not the heights of interactivity. Like I said, though, there's a lot of stuff that you can read in the documentation about how to try to fix their latency problems. So I think there's probably some fooling around we can do. I got to admit, I'm kind of intrigued by this technology, and I might try some things. The thing you can do is that you can set it up so that, I was just, I just had some algorithmic process running, and I could just leave it running forever, I suppose. Also, there's ways you can configure it so that you don't have to start it up by hand. It will basically just start and run as the machine is running. That's what Lara was talking about. What you call it? Some pebbles or something like that. But it's pretty easy to kind of configure this with your system daemon on these machines. And I'll set mine up so that it'll just kind of run the server constantly. Okay. And it will also configure itself so it can restart if it gets crashed, say you give it some bogus information or something like that. Okay. Yeah, let me go back and I'm going to try sharing my screen again. Okay, let me get rid of this. And let's take a look and see what happened here. Yeah, it's funny. It usually tells you when people. Oh, it only tells you when the source is connected. It doesn't tell you when people. There are log files that will show you exactly who has connected and when and things like that, so that you can actually kind of see if people are listening in on your things. I'm going to shut down the server now. Okay, so that's it. What you can, yeah, let me shut off my Rocket Audio thing over here. I'll do that later. The other thing that'd be fun to do with this is that you can also configure it so that, rather than having, say, control information for some process coming in over these UDP sockets or something like that, you could also have it fed from, say, a big data generator that's sending data into it that you then convert into, maybe RTCMix commands that will squeeze out and like cause events to happen. That's the kind of thing that Ben Holtzman is going to cover in his class in the spring on data sonification. And this opens up a whole new world of possibility for that, because in the past we've always run it where people made standalone applications, showing here's what it sounds like of climate change over the past 5,000 years. Now we could actually have maybe even real-time climate data coming in and being reflected in the sound that this thing is putting out. I mean, there's a number of possibilities that seem really, really kind of fun to me. Okay. Now, I want to show you one more thing. Okay. Oh, golly. You know what? I forgot to plug in my Mac laptop on power, and it's down to like 30%. There we go. Too many computers. Okay. I want to show you a few more things. This, again, I'll put all these links on the webpage. This is basically that application that I was running on my Windows machine that I configured and connected, and then took everything that my computer was generating and sent it to the server. This is from that Rocket broadcaster people and everything like that. However, there's a problem. Like I said, it only runs on Windows. So I have some other options for you. This is very popular. It's called Open Broadcast Studio. Again, I believe it's free. Yeah, free and open source software. Okay, and for video recording, live stream, a lot of these also allow you to send video, like Carl and his friends are doing that I showed you earlier. But basically, it's the same kind of thing. When you set it up, you can configure it to connect to that port, sites.music.columbia.edu/:3000 or whatever it was, and it'll just take everything that you're producing on your computer and stream it out there. Okay. Another one that's useful is called AltaCast. Okay, and I believe, let's see, what is AltaCast for Linux too? No, AltaCast unfortunately is also just for Windows. This seems to be a Windows world. I guess it's because it's kind of was basically rooted in kind of commercial culture. Because these are radio stations and such like that. Okay, there's two more. There's one that I'm going to have to type in the thing. This one is called but broadcast using this tool, and this one actually looked pretty intriguing to me because it runs on virtually all operating systems. Okay, Windows, OS X, Linux, all kinds of things like that. So I think you can even run it on iOS, I believe. Maybe not. No, that's another one I'm going to show you. But this guy, if you go to his main website, he's got some other interesting applications that might be useful. Okay. Come on, connect. Yeah, oh, this is the fun part of the internet. There we go. Oh no. There we go. I'm not sure why it's not connecting, but basically there's some interesting stuff there. Okay, and then the last one is one that called Ladiocast, and it's a real annoying website because what it does is it takes you. Oh, I just noticed everybody's frozen. Hey, are you guys back?
We can hear you. We can't. Your Mac video has stopped, but we can see you on your Windows video.
Interesting. Hi, everybody. Let me restart my Mac video. Okay.
I can see the Mac video actually.
You can see it now.
Yeah, I can see it.
The screen share is in real time. The screen share seems uninterrupted.
Okay.
It's just your webcam that was getting choppy, but it seems fine now.
Okay, I think there's just some packets are flying around doing weird stuff or something. Okay, this is what I was going to tell you. This guy Daniel Noethan also created a Shoutcast Icecast client for iOS, so you could actually broadcast from your phone or tablet if you wanted to. And then the final one I want to show you does exactly that. It's called this Ladiocast, and the thing that's annoying about that is it takes you to the App Store. And basically it is free though, but again, it'll also run on Macs. And it's a similar kind of thing. You can see here, I don't know if that'll actually make it bigger or not. Yeah, you can see that basically it's got all these different inputs that you can configure in your connection here. You can see that's where you send the host name, the mount point, all the stuff that we just talked about, that we configured with our server. Okay, so that's that. Again, I have hopes. Oh, let me see. I'm looking through my chat window now. It looks like there's some good stuff going on here. Okay. Yeah. Oh, it stopped. Okay. Doug is leaving. Oh, Anthony. So you know about OBS, right?
Yeah,
okay.
I learned it right when we went into lockdown, and I've been using it here and there.
Wow. Yeah, because apparently it does a lot of other things besides just allow you to connect to a streaming server. You can actually use it as a full studio environment to do stuff like that. Cool. Well, we may draw upon you as a point of information for people who use it then, if that's okay. Cool. Okay. Oh, Alessandra says, oh, I guess you'd love, oh, you're talking to Anthony. Okay, sorry. Sorry, I was trying to. Would love to go. Okay, that reminds me though, Alessandra. Oh no, we already talked about that. The Unity thing. I got to send that link out to everybody. In fact, I wonder if I can. Well, I'll do it later. Okay. Actually, do you want me to do it now? Maybe I should send it in the chat. Hold on a minute. Okay. Hold on, I'm going to get it up here.
I just posted it.
Oh, you did? Okay. I was searching through my mail and I was bringing up somebody named Alessandra Christine, who I don't even remember. Sorry about that. Okay, cool. Yeah, this is the what Alessandro put up is the Unity thing with the FMOD audio and theoretically Max MSP, but we'll see. Okay, yeah, let me know how it goes because I'm intrigued. All right, yeah, basically that was pretty much all I had to talk about. Like I said, I didn't think we'd go the whole time tonight, so yeah, we're about an hour shy. Sorry about that. I could go over everything again and talk real slow if you wanted, but No, I think given how intense this past week has been, I don't know about you guys, but I feel I've just been exhausted lately. You know, I do wake up kind of slightly happy in the morning, but you know, I think yeah, it's kind of strange. So I think we'll call it quits for now, if that's okay. Take a look at this stuff. Like I said, I'll probably get all the links and everything put up probably tomorrow sometime, maybe Friday. I've got a few things I've got to do on tomorrow, but if you want to try some of this out, let me know, and I'll try and configure it to set it up so that you can have your own port on the sites.music.columbia.edu machine, and you can try streaming to it if you want. Okay. So that's that. Yeah, and next time, remember, that's going to be kind of a big one. That's when Damon Holtzborn and Miller Puckett are going to come and talk about their Quack Trip stuff. And I'm as intrigued to hear about that as I imagine you guys are too, because it should be quite something. And like I said, it's really wonderful that Miller can come and just talk. That's the joy of Zoom, because otherwise I'd be covering it, and yeah, I'd be doing a half-assed job. Anyhow, so that's it for now. Yeah, if there's any further questions, speak now or send me email. And that's it, guys. Okay, I'm gonna turn off the recording.